Hello and welcome to the Join Dota League Season 3 here on HeflaTV 2. This is going to be a best of two series between European Love Story and Your Family. I'm going to be your caster today here on this channel. I'm Grandis V, and if you do like the casting, you can stick around here, but there's some other games also going on in HeflaTV 1. So if you want to change your pace and want to watch some other Dota games, go ahead and move over there. Well, as far as this game is concerned, I've seen both of these teams play a handful of times each, and I'm not sure exactly who's going to be able to take the win here. I think that it's fairly likely that we'll have a 1-for-1, I think. They should at least be fairly close, despite the odds being heavily in the favor of Your Family. That said, the bans are coming out from both of these teams, nothing too surprising just yet, as the Razor is banned out by European Love Story, and the Brewmaster Lycan taken up by Your Family, so no real surprises there. Your Family do have first pick, so it's a little bit interesting that they ban out the Lycanthrope, just not wanting to pick that up on the Radiant side, and also not wanting to give that one away. Still, a lot of heroes have wormed their way into this draft, including the Faceless Void, which Your Family are going to go ahead and pick up for themselves. European Love Story, they have the Shadow Shaman available to them, as well as the Death Prophet, but they'll go ahead and pick up the Skywrath Mage instead, denying the combo away from Your Family, as well as just giving them a really solid support all around. Great at zoning out offlaners. With his Arcane Bolt early on, can be fairly aggressive with a concussive shot to set up other supports, in particular the Shadow Shaman, getting him in range for the Shackles, which might also be a solid second pick for European Story. Yeah, excuse me, I just woke up, so there's a little bit of gunk still in my throat, so bear with me as I might have to mute the mic a couple of times as I clear my throat. But Tidehunter is going to be the second pickup for European Love Story. No big surprises there, as Tidehunter's just all around a really solid hero. But Your Family pretty much have the cream of the crop to pick from. With the exception of the Skywrath Mage, still plenty of heroes that combo wonderfully with that Faceless Void still left for them to take up. They have the Invoker, Shadow Shaman, as well as the Death Prophet, all there for themselves to pick and choose which one they want to go for.
5 seconds.
Yeah, so we will see which combo they're going to go for, but they're going to pick up a Shadow Demon. Shadow Demon is a hero that, like, just after the last 3 best of 2s that I've cast, it's been very highly prized in the drafts. It's interesting that Your Family would pick that up for themselves. Shadow Demon doesn't particularly combo well up with the Faceless Void, but he's really good about negating the damage coming up from a Skywrath Mage ulti, especially, yeah, if they are stunned, you can just defensively disrupt them up, and then will avoid the damage coming out from the Mystic Flares. So in that sense, it's a pretty solid defensive pick coming out from Your Family, although prioritizing it this early on in the draft, in exchange for, like, the Shadow Shaman or Death Prophet, I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan of that move coming out from them, but I can definitely see where this pick fits into their lineup. Also, Soulcatcher is great when combined with other huge sources of damage. Inside the Chronosphere, Faceless Void picks up some solid right-clicking damage. That could be an option, but more than likely we're just going to be seeing another support to pair with the Shadow Demon. Presumably it's going to be something along the lines of a Mirana, but I'm not opposed to seeing a Kunkka by any means, but Zeus ban comes out for European Love Story. Now, Zeus would be a very interesting hero on Your Family's team. It would give them a whole heck of a lot of damage. Even though Zeus doesn't really need the Chronosphere to set that up, that's still pretty much, if you get multiple heroes inside the Chronosphere, a lot of uninterrupted time where you can just spam out those Chain Lightnings and Lightning Bolts, making sure that everybody's dropping incredibly low. Well, so, Your Family, they're going to have to go up against a Viper here, as that is going to be European Love Story's next pickup, going for a little bit of lane domination with this third pickup for themselves. It does decently well up against the Faceless Void, I suppose, with the Viper Strike, but more than anything, just going to be the Mechanism Carrier, making sure that the Tidehunter can get a Blink Dagger early without having to deviate from his build path in order to pick up that Mechanism for his team. So,
reserve time.
Yeah, let's see what Your Family are going to go ahead and pick up. I'm presuming that Viper is going to be taking up the mid position for European Story, but they could have the option of picking up another mid hero and sending out Viper towards the safe lane. Still plenty of lane ambiguity coming out from European Love Story, as well as from Your Family. Shadow Demon is probably going to be a support unless we see some mid Shadow Demon shenanigans coming out here. in the game 1. But Faceless Void can be farming up the safe lane, or he can be that utility offlane Faceless Void that a lot of teams are really favoring in the current meta. Especially on the Radiant side, Faceless Void can really get away with quite a bit in that offlane, getting the level 6 early so you can get kills around the map. You definitely need something else to combo with it, but if you do have the additional spells to throw into the Chronosphere, can definitely work out for you. I'd like to see an Invoker coming out from your family. I think with a Shadow Demon and Faceless Void already on the pitch, having the Invoker as well to set up Sunstrikes with the Disruption from the Shadow Demon, to set up a Disruption or Sunstrikes with the Chronosphere, as well as just the straight up combo with the Meteor Deafening Blast. Just does so much damage if your Invoker doesn't absolutely get shut down early on, usually by support rotations. For the most part, Invoker can still function fairly effectively, even in very difficult lanes. Up against a Viper, he could have some problems CSing, but I still think he can get some, or rather more, out of the lane than a lot of other heroes, with the extra damage coming out from Exhort later on, as well as the Forge Spirits. The first couple of levels are going to be very problematic, but it's going to be a Centaur Warrunner for your family. That's probably going to be the Faceless Void moving towards the safe lane with Centaur Warrunner in the off lane. Centaur Warrunner and Shadow Demon combo incredibly well together. You can disrupt somebody up to set up the Hoof Stomp, and then with the Soul Catcher on top of it, double edge, as well as that Hoof Stomp damage is enough to drop most heroes in the game with a couple more right clicks. Viper is probably going to be the exception in this draft at the very least, with that extra magic resist from Corrosive Skin, as well as just the way you're going to build him. The next two pickups are going to be Lich as well as Earthshaker. I'm not sure if I'm really feeling the Lich pick here from your family. It's going to help them in lane for sure. Zoning out the Tidehunter, denying some extra experience from him as well. But on top of that, they'll need pretty much a perfect Chronosphere in order to set up the Lich ultimate, and I just don't feel that the Lich is aggressive enough. I would have liked to see the Mirana or something else to combo with that Shadow Demon, Lina, Leshrac, or Kunkka. Something that gives them a little bit more aggressive roaming potential to help out whatever they're going to throw towards the mid lane up against the Viper. Yeah, I don't know. Lich can still work fairly effectively, but I think there are better heroes, at least in this scenario. We'll have to see how it's going to pan out for your family. Potentially they could just snowball really hard off of the early laning stage that they should win with this Lich pickup. Morphling banned out by European Love Story, an interesting ban. Pretty much saying that they want a safe lane farm up that Viper, and both teams kind of need their mid hero. As I'm not sure why you'd ban out the Morphling up against the Viper, but Gyrocopter, the last ban from your family. Scared of the AoE combo coming out from European Love Story with the Ravage from the Tidehunter and Earthshaker Echo Slam on top, and a cooldown with the Flat Cannon damage being pumped out by a carry Gyrocopter. There's plenty of potential for European Love Story to get that beautiful teamfight ultimate combo, but a last pick Phantom Lancer comes out from European Love Story. I do not love this Phantom Lancer pick. I think that they have a lot of strong ways to fight in the mid game to potentially turtle out for this Phantom Lancer to get huge. But later on, Faceless Void is pretty good at catching out the Phantom Lancer as long as the real Phantom Lancer is confirmed to be in the vicinity. Yeah, but in the end, they might have to build something along the lines of Mjolnir on the Faceless Void. But Drow Ranger, those last two picks really caught me off guard as we go into the game. Drow Ranger on this team especially, they only have two heroes that are going to benefit from that aura, and the Lich and the Shadow Demon. And really, they're not going to be right-clicking that particularly hard. It'll help them with pushing for sure. Drow Ranger, if left alone with the tower for just a couple of seconds, can absolutely mow it down. There's very little that can... Oh my goodness, I'm using the wrong overlays. Yeah, let's get into the HeflaTV one. I probably just need to delete all of my backlog of overlays, but apart from that, let's get into the game as everybody's picking up their heroes, just waiting on the Skywrath Mage. But yeah, about this Phantom Lancer and Drow Ranger, I just kind of feel that they don't really fit in.
10 seconds to go.
Yeah, Drow Ranger is not very good at dealing with a Phantom Lancer, especially with those illusions. Not a great way to clear them out. She has some good base damage to deal with. Yeah, it just kind of feels lackluster. And even if the Faceless Void does get a Mjolnir, the magical damage scales really hard off up against the Phantom Lancer, as his illusions are going to be fairly tanky about that later on in the game. So we'll have to see if European Love Story is going to be able to turtle out to get to that point. But we might even be seeing a Battle Fury on this Faceless Void. I wouldn't be entirely opposed to that, even though it's frowned upon in the current meta, to say the least. Well, for now, we're going to start out with a pause. It's not really Join Dota League Dota without having the starting pause, but it does give me time to introduce our teams. On the Radiant side, we are going to have your family with Sun1 playing on the Draw Ranger, Kranich playing on the Faceless Void, Ventral on the Shadow Demon, Vlado on the Centaur Warner, and Cure on the Lich. On the Dire side, we are going to have EULS, their European Love Story, with Silvas playing on the Earthshaker, Eunice on that last pick, Phantom Lancer, Ball on the Scarth Mage, Triple C, Triple A playing on the Tidehunter, and Zella playing on the Viper, presumably going towards the mid lane. And, well, as soon as I'm done with that, we will get back into the game, so these lanes should start taking shape. Bottom looks like it's going to be made up of the Shadow Demon Lich as well as Draw Ranger with a mid-Faceless Void. These starting items really don't tell a great deal about where they're going to lane this drone Faceless Void. One of them is going to have to take up the mid position. Just in the draft, I would have expected Draw Ranger to take that up. Viper does well against Dro, but eventually she'll be able to get some damage to last hit up against him, as long as she gets level 6 up early. And yeah, I think they could have gotten away with that had they had more aggressive supporting duo to kill the Viper early on. But that said, it looks like Faceless Void is going to be the one up against the Viper with a bunch of regen. One pooled Tango with a set of Tango, of his own, excuse me, as well as a Salve and a Quelling Blade to make sure that he's able to CS up against the Viper once the Nether Toxin starts kicking in. Yeah, usually you don't see Quelling Blade as really a item to get those last hits, more as just to accelerate your farm, especially in the jungle. But up against a Viper, it's definitely a worthy pickup for Kranich. This is going to mean that he's without a Stout Shield, so the harass is going to be very annoying for him to deal with, but with Time Walk, I think that Kranich should be fine in this middle lane up against the Viper.
Let's keep it clean.
As long as the Scarlet Mage and Earthshaker don't come in to ruin his day, really.
And they're off.
Yeah, I don't know, to start us off, the ward vision from both teams. We have a ward to spot out the support rotations coming out from the Dire side. Will help the Tidehunter lane a decent amount. But Lich and Shadow Demon, although they're going to be annoying for him to deal with, and should be able to zone him out, aren't really going to be doing that much killing. I don't know, they might be able to do so, especially once Draw Ranger gets her level 6, but without that extra damage, I don't think they'll be able to. Regeneration Rune spawned at the 0 minute, but it's not going to be spotted out by anybody just yet. No rune vision over this rune, but everybody knows that it is there, as they do have vision over the top one. This Centaur not going to have a great time at all up against the Scarlet Mage, as well as the Earthshaker. I think he just kind of needs to hang all the way back, and he's going to need a whole bunch of harass. I mean, he does have the Stout Shield as well as Tango's Salve, but I think you even need more up against the constant Arcane Bolt spam coming out from Scarlet Mage. He only has one Clarity, but it should secure this Phantom Lancer a fairly easy time farming in this lane, and he's sporting a pretty cool set with that Monkey King Bar on Eunice. But yeah, Centaur not going to be favored at all. Lich is currently in the dual lane with the Faceless Void in mid, and this will help him out against the Viper quite a bit. Also securing a little bit of extra experience for the Lich, while hurting Kranich a little bit more. I don't think it's going to delay his level 6 with the Lich being there or not being there, as had the Lich not been there, the Faceless Void would have been zoned out fairly easily early on, especially. But yeah, for now, Faceless Void going to be farming better than the Viper, and Viper just eating a bunch of Raz, with the Lich going for that point into Frostblast. And I'll have the mana to spam that out, as the constant deny of creeps is going to help him fill his mana pool as well. So, for now, we're going to have a fairly passive early game, with Scarlet Mage and Earthshaker just kind of chilling top. They might want to make a move down on mid, although that's fairly iffy whether or not they'll be able to get that kill. Even a good Fissure Block can just be time walked away. Vlada is sitting on the 2-minute rune. It wasn't picked up down in bottom, however, so the regeneration is just going to be continuously sitting there. But yeah, Lich in mid, taking a decent amount of harass from the Viper, as he just continually plinks away. Tidehunter is going to secure the regeneration rune for the Viper, who is at about half, or below half health, excuse me, at about a third. Let's see if Shadow Demon is going to be able to make a deny happen. He's not, and he runs straight into Triple C, Triple A. He's going to trade hits with that Anchor Smash extra damage. There's very little that Fendril can do about it, except for disrupt him up to keep the Tidehunter at arm's length. Draw Ranger rotates in. She has 2 points up in the Frost Arrows. We'll slow him down a little bit. But with that boots, Tidehunter should be all fine and dandy. Shadow Demon and Drow Ranger, not your best killing combo by any means. And Tidehunter should be able to get his experience and eventually stack up his Ancients to get a little bit of farm that way. I think this Tidehunter is going to be just fine, and in fact fairly happy with how these lanes have worked out for your family. Yeah. Faceless Void, 2 points in the Time Walk I think is warranted up against the Viper. Especially if the Lich ever dies, to make sure that he's not going to get caught out. It will leave him without backtrack, but he does have the Poor Man's Shield now, so the extra damage block is going to be there. Centaur Warner just not having a great time in this lane, has managed to find his level 2, and you compare that to the 3 and almost 4 on the Tidehunter. Yeah, Vlado just taking the short end of the stick as far as lanes are concerned. Earthshaker's been pretty happy with just pulling over these side camps and making sure that they connect through to deny that experience as well as secure himself a little bit as well. He's only sitting at level 2, but eventually this Earthshaker is going to be able to pick up some ground. I'd like to see him try to roam around with the Skywrath Mage as soon as Vlado is out of regen. Yeah, we'll have to see. Not a huge fan of this very passive game. I was hoping for a little bit more action, but with the picks it just doesn't really end out being the way that it can be. Viper going for 1-2-1 as his skill build to make sure that he's able to farm effectively in this lane, but with the Lich just denying as well as harassing him very annoyingly. He's at about half the CS of the Faceless Void, and I don't know, not unexpected entirely, but still, you want your Viper to be winning this lane. That's kind of why you pick the hero. In this game, he's not going to be able to do so, just with the way these lanes pan down. Yep. He still should be able to get a decently timed mechanism, I suppose, and now he has a double damage, so he can be putting the hurt to the Faceless Void if he gets the opportunity. But the winner as far as the lanes are concerned so far is EULS, just having the time of his life, free farm up top, nothing that the Centaur can really do to punish this, and put pressure onto the Phantom Lancer, and yeah, I think it's kind of pick your poison here from your family. They can either do the Lich Centaur duel off lane, or they can put the dual lane up against the Viper. And for now, they're giving the Faceless Void a lot of room, and hopefully he'll be able to do something very important with the level 6 that he'll have. Yeah, I don't know. It's just the trade-off that they're going to have to make, and later on in this game, we'll see if it's going to work for them. Yeah, they don't have the best heroes to combo. Well, up in top, they get a decent fissure block. He stuns up Sylvos with the hoof stomp, but Vlad is going to eat a Spirit Lance from the Phantom Lancer and tries for the double edge, but in the end just gets burst down. Sylvos drawing first blood here in the top lane. They give that to the Earthshaker, which I think is completely fine. It's going to accelerate his farm to the point where we'll be able to get the, yeah, Blink Dagger online very quickly, as Earthshaker is not the fastest farming hero, but in mid. Viper going to fall to the Faceless Void, and it looks like they want to intercept. Nice fissure block onto the Lich, and all they need is a little bit more damage. They sold the Faceless Void as well. They bash up the Skywrath Mage, and in the end, Sylvos is the one that's falling too low, and these supports probably bit off more than they can chew. Kranich looking for another bash. He doesn't even need it. Time walk forward, and Sylvos looks like they're going to give a double kill, or possibly even a triple. No, just a double kill, as the kill, I believe, was given to the Skywrath Mage. But in the end, or Lich, rather. Yeah, that hero. Unfortunate that Skywrath Mage got bashed up by the Faceless Void on the first hit, just making it impossible for them to get the kill on the Lich, and then they weren't able to back off effectively at all. So 3-1 is going to be our starting off kill score. Despite EULS getting the first blood, the trait around the map is going to favor your family. Yeah, Earthshaker has his boots, and he'll probably back off for Arcanes before getting the blink. No fast blinks just yet. Drow Ranger almost taking her level 6, just needs one more creep, and there you go. Has the marksmanship finally up with the Basilius, as well as what looks to be building into a Yasha first. She's going to be doing a lot of damage, and Triple C, Triple A needs to be very careful. They're going to start plinking away him with the Frost Arrows. They don't get the disruption off just yet. They have the Fissure coming up from the Earthshaker. They're going to block off Fendril, and well, the Drow Ranger does get the kill on the Tidehunter, but they might be losing their Disruptor here. He drops a defensive disruption that's helping the enemy more than anything, but Sylvos is the one that's dropping, and Sylvos is going to give a double kill towards Sunwind, and now Ball might be the next one to fall. No, Silence under tower. Drow Ranger can't do anything. Turns for a couple more auto attacks, but can't get the kill on Ball. Unfortunately, that turn rate on Drow Ranger was what cost her that kill on the Skywrath Mage. But yeah, just underestimating the damage coming out from your Drow Ranger. A decent rotation coming out from the supports, and getting the kill on the Drow Ranger is very important, but still, they gave away a lot beforehand. 2-1 going to be Drow Ranger's KDA for now. And yeah, let's see how this is going to work out for them. They have the Drow Ranger with almost level 7. Whether she's just going to be farming up or whether she's going to be more defensive is still yet to be seen. They get the Soul Catcher onto the Tidehunter as I miss a kill in mid, but with the Soul Catcher on top, Triple C, Triple A does not stand a chance. Last Frost Arrow will get the kill, and Faceless Void kills the Viper yet again. 0, 2, and 0 onto this Viper, just having a terrible game. Especially compared to what you want to see from your Viper, which is dominating the lane. The center ultimate used down and bottom to get the Drow Ranger out to safety, but the Arcane Bolt chases her, and she will die. And now the Shadow Demon is similar situation, but the Fisher not coming up from cooldown fast enough to secure that one. So in the end, Phantom Lancer up top. A lot of action spread around the map. He gets secondary Spirit Lance, a couple more auto attacks. Eunice is going to secure himself on kill up in top after the assist, and with 63 CS here at about 8.5 minutes in, Eunice has had the time of his life. The best start that you can really hope for on a Phantom Lancer. And he will opt to pick up the drums and eventually go for the Vlads. So more of your combat style Phantom Lancer, potentially going for the or actually more farming oriented with the Vlads after the drums, that kind of lead me to think that he wants to fight early on. I don't know, not a huge fan of this choice to go back off for the Vlads, but as long as he's left unchecked, he'll be able to push down lanes very quickly, at the rate that he's farming especially. Vlad's decent for his team, but mostly the lifesteal is going to be for him. I think if you could get it on the Tidehunter later on, maybe that's a better option if you want the lifesteal on your Phantom Lancer, so that he can be able to get that Diffusal Blade or something along those lines earlier on to chase kills and be a little bit more active around the map. I think Diffusal Blade's just a great item all around on Phantom Lancer. The extra damage it provides is wonderful. The mana drain is annoying to deal with, and also the extra chasing potential with the Spirit Lance as well as the Diffuse. You have plenty of ways to chase down heroes. Up against the Centaur, not the best, as you can't purge off that ultimate, and doesn't really care about the slows, but down bottom looks like that's going to be the next point of contention as they start with Concussive Blast onto the Drow Ranger. She turns for the Silence in the Sky Mage. They miss the Fissure. Unfortunately, Defensive Disruption comes out as a central ultimate, trying to get them out to safety, but the Drow Ranger doesn't get the debuff, and now she's going to be chased into the woods. She dies as Ball is on a killing spree. TP is coming in from the Centaur Warner as they get a kill onto the Viper and mid coming out from the Chronosphere used by the Faceless Void. But that said, they get a Fissure onto Fendril, and Fendril is going to be dropped down, and now the Flado is going to be in a lot of trouble. The Guaranteed Slow coming out from Corrosive Skin, and that's going to be enough to give Zella a double kill. 3 for 1 is going to be trade all around the map, but it did cost the Faceless Void his Chronosphere, which will be on cooldown for a little bit longer. Yeah, Tidehunter held onto his Ravage, so all said and done, European Love Story going to be very happy with that exchange, and also their Phantom Lancer just free farming up top. He's going to have the Vladimirs if he wants to pick that up very soon. In fact, he should have enough gold in order to pick that one up, and he's also going to get a tier 1 tower for his team, and I don't know, I was concerned about this Drow Ranger pick, and it looks like my concerns are not without reason, as she's died 3 times. They go for a Midas on their Faceless Void, and I guess that's okay. It's about 11 minutes in, not the fastest Midas, but after going for PTs, it's not a poor timing by any means. Yeah, I don't know, your family just looked like they want to turtle it out towards the late game, and I'm not sure that they'll be able to do so. Playing up against a Phantom Lancer, even with the Drow Ranger as well as Faceless Void, it's just going to be very annoying for them to deal with. Centaur really needs to get his Blink Dagger so that they can catch out this Faceless Void, or Phantom Lancer, excuse me, anywhere on the map when he is split pushing, but for now, we're not going to see any decent timing coming out from the Centaur Warrior's Blink Dagger, as he's died 3 times and isn't farming particularly fast either at only 22 CS at 11 minutes in. Yeah. Viper has the completed mechanism, or at least the 2 components for it. You'd like to see that done at this point, but as aforementioned, the Viper's start in this game has been very lackluster. Tidehunter TP is mid up against the Faceless Void, and well, Drow Ranger's also here. He could be in a little bit of trouble. They could start out with a Time Walk, but in the end, Drow Ranger just going to swagger her way around, maybe looking for this gank on the Tidehunter. Tidehunter needs to be careful, I think, but they could turn this around with a good Ravage. He's going Time Walk 4, gets the Chronosphere onto a beautiful Chronosphere, but the Sky Mage ulti is going to do a lot of damage to Kranich. Now they focus on the Ball. Ball is going to be focused down as a disruption delays things for now. They get the Soul Catcher on top of him as well. Triple C, Triple A just ripped to shreds by the Drow Ranger, and a double kill for her in a tier 1 tower, almost for certain. Well, Eunice should be able to get the tier 1 tower in response up and top, but yeah. 1-2 punch coming out from both of these teams as the kill score is going to be tied up, or the lead going to be taken up by your family, 11-8, and they're going to push into this tier 2 a little bit ill-advised, but I guess in the 8 seconds while they wait for the Tide Hunter, they can take this tower down very low. They will force out the Glyph at the very least and eventually back off, so good move coming out from them as they try to catch out this Phantom Lancer up in top. Eunice, they don't have the faces, or the Chronosphere ready to catch him, and in the end they will just back. Well, after all of that action across the map, I guess I'll take this time to go check out the graphs. And while the gold lead is slightly in the favor of your family, but it's tipping down to EULS after they got the return kill on the tower up top. So I'd expect that to be about 0. The bigger lead is going to be an experience towards your family after the 3-kill advantage, but still anybody's game. I think the fighting potential is fairly even coming out from both of these teams. When all of their ultimates are online, that is. Yeah, I don't know. It was unfortunate that Faceless Void had to take so much damage from the Skywrath Mage ulti. Just wasn't able to find a good angle in order to attack. He's presumably going towards the BKB next with this Mithril Hammer, but he could be going for Mjolnir up against the Phantom Lancer. I don't think that's a bad choice either. And that might also be his choice. But still, it's going to fall off very quickly, and Mjolnir's just not going to cut it after Phantom Lancer gets a couple more items online. He is going to back off for the Yasha, and now going to pick up Boots of Travel on this Phantom Lancer. So his item is a little bit peculiar with that casual Ring of Regen, but it still works out as his team picks up the Tier 1 tower in the middle lane. Eventually, he'll probably pick up the Vladimir's. I don't know, but this is a very interesting Phantom Lancer build that's going to make him very scary to start us off. Granted, she has the Chronosphere, he drops it onto Eunice. They drop the Soul Catcher, Lance and Creep. Unfortunately, do they have enough damage with the Stampede? It looks like they will, but no! The Ravage committed, and Kranich with the Spirit Lance being thrown back. Kranich, he's trying to TP out. Will he be able to make it? The Anchor Smash not going to be enough damage, or rather, not going to be there fast enough. With the Drum Charge, Phantom Lancer going to be able to make it out to safety. So in the end, Ravage for the safe retreat of their Phantom Lancer. I think that's an okay trade, but if they got the Faceless Void, it would have been in favor. Centaur and mid going to be silenced up. Echo Slam committed. A lot of spells. But they end up getting the Centaur kill nonetheless. Yeah, I don't know. All around the map, I think EULS are going to be okay with the trade that they've gotten. But they've dropped a lot of ultimates in the past couple of seconds in order to achieve that with the Ravage, as well as the Echo Slam being on cooldown. At this point in the game, Echo Slam not the biggest deal coming out from Silvos, as he doesn't have the Blink Dagger. Yeah, and he should have that off of cooldown by the time he gets one, and possibly even have another Echo Slam to use. Mask of Madness picked up by the Draw Ranger, and their net worth is just not really on the same page. Phantom Lancer almost has a 2k lead over the Draw Ranger, and I feel his items are just going to be a little bit more effective, especially for this time in the game. That said, Draw Ranger with Mask of Madness can absolutely plow through heroes, but she's also going to fall incredibly fast with only about 1,000 HP when she is toggled to agility treads. With that Mask of Madness, only about 700 or so effective HP that she can really deal with up against the magic damage. Well, I guess that's a little bit more with reductions, and against the physical, it is going to be more with her extended armor that's currently sitting at 15. Well, enough of that deviation, I suppose. But for now, it is going to be a little bit more passive, as the Tier 1 towers are mostly all down, with the safe lane Tier 1 on both sides still standing. And so, they're just going to back off and farm it up. Phantom Lancer is... I don't know, this is probably the scariest build that you can go up at 16 minutes into the game. You're not going to see anything clowny like a Radiance. He's not saving up for any big ticket items just yet. He has pretty much just the most cost-effective items that you can get at this point in the game for split pushing. He can push out the lanes very fast. His illusions, although not doing the greatest amount of damage, still do a decent amount with the amount of agility that he has managed to pick up. And then once he has Vladimir's offering, he's going to have that extra bit of sustain, which he does complete at the base and delivering that out to himself right as we speak. Both teams are, yeah, just kind of backing off as we wait for this next round of items. But Eunice, he caught out with the Chronosphere and the Lich ultimate committed to make sure that they get this kill. They get the secondary balance, and without the Ravage TP, there's no way that they can really compete up against that. So yeah, Phantom Lancer overstepping his bound. We have a Fissure up on top with TPs coming in droves. Viper not able to get an auto attack off on the Faceless Void as he time walks towards the north. Tidehunter is also here with the Ravage, but I don't think he'll be blowing that one anytime soon, as the Lich is way too far away to even hope for a clip on that spell. So in the end, a lot of TP is going to be forced out as well as getting the kill on the Phantom Lancer, your family should be fairly happy with the way that last couple of exchanges have gone. Well, 17 minutes in, it's not the fastest Blink Dagger, but they will be able to secure that down and bottom as they catch out the Drow Ranger. They needed the Echo Slam early for that. The Scarlet Mage ult going to be completely off the mark with the Silence. She's still taking a lot of damage, and there's your Echo Slam. Sylvos, and another couple of barrage of spells, and they'll be able to get that one. So both of the carries dying in fairly close proximity to each other, but as it stands, this Faceless Void is really going to be the one that starts exploding in the net worth department, with that Midas ticking away. Eunice is pinged out in mid, he drops the invis, and will just back off in the end. Yeah. 506 movement speed on this Phantom Lancer when he is inside that Doppelwalk. Very fast and kind of hard to catch up, and we might be seeing potentially a Chronosphere that misses on the Phantom Lancer because of it. Well, yet again, despite this kill score being fairly high at 22 at 18 minutes in, most of these kills have been isolated in the lanes and not very many huge rotations coming up from both teams, and a lot of farming on both sides as well. Tidehunter at level 8 has plenty of the tools to farm up this ancient. She tries to get the Ravage off, caught inside the Chronosphere. Will to be able to burst him down. They need a couple of bashes. Triple C, Triple A falls, and now Kranich is also in a heap of trouble as he gets silenced up. Vlado looks for the stomp, only finds it on the Scarlet Mage, tries to TP out. No way to cancel that yet from anybody as the Earthshaker is not there, but they get the goal on the Centaur nonetheless. So Tidehunter for Centaur, and they didn't even need the Ravage there. Yeah, unfortunate for the Radiant team. Tidehunter was looking for that jump, wasn't able to find it. Yeah. Arcane Bolt, not sure where that's chasing to, I presume towards the Centaur's dead corpse, and that will just peter out eventually, so we have a little bit of a graphical bump going on. Yeah, plenty of other interesting things going on in this game. Not really. I don't know, that fight near the Dire Ancients was probably the most exciting we've had for some time. Triple C, Triple A is going to go back and try to farm this up, and I think they won't be able to catch him out, especially after the loss of that last team fight. And this stack will secure the Blink Dagger for the Tide. Yeah. And Zilla has the mechanism as well as point booster. Yeah, Faceless Void with this Maelstrom. It's usually a pretty solid, just casual damage item on the Void anyway. But up against the illusions from the Phantom Lancer at this point that aren't particularly tanky, only working with the 47 or 48. Yeah, 47. I was right the first time. Base or strength rather coming up from Eunice. That will be able to clear them up fairly effectively. But as this game ticks on, the Phantom Lancer is going to be more and more split push nuisance, not backing off for the power charge, just going straight for the boots of travel. This Phantom Lancer is going to be all around the map, just summoning his little cancer cats and pushing them down. Looks like the Fusel Blade will be his next item, but after that I'd like to see a Manta or a Heart coming out from them. Scarlet Mage gets a kill on the ledge down, and bottom is we might have a little bit more action as Faceless Void and Drow Ranger are looking for more. They have the Chronosphere, but they won't need it. He drops a Chronosphere, catches out two of them, as Sylvos is also going to be clipped with the double edge. Usually you don't say that Centaur is very good about getting damage inside the Chrono, but just clipping the Earthshaker there was able to secure that kill. And well, a great Chronosphere coming out from Kranich, and both of the supports are going to die for it. Unfortunately, they weren't able to catch out any core heroes. Viper as well as the Tidehunter and Phantom Lance are all in different lanes and well out of the way. Phantom Lance is putting some pressure onto this tier 2 tower on top as the tier 2 tower on bottom is going to fall to the Drow Ranger. Glyphs coming out from both sides, but it's only going to delay the inevitable in bottom, but I don't think that top will fall just yet as long as they TP back in. Shadow Demon, he's trying to come back, they TP in with the Lich, but Faceless Void down in bottom. Oh, he skates away, no! He dies to the last tick of the Viper Strike ultimate coming out from Zella. Eunice is dusted up, no way that he can use his Doppelwalk, but with the Earthshaker Fissure and no other follow-up except for the Lich, it won't be much. And Ventral's just dropping too low to these illusions. Yeah, had those had Diffuse on them, Shadow Demon would probably be dropped down to about a quarter HP, just from like 3 illusions hitting away at him. They ping out the Drow Ranger up top as Earthshaker looking for blood with that Blink Dagger picked up. He does not have the Echo Slam available, unfortunately, for European Love Story. But I don't know, these next couple of team fights are going to be pretty scary for your family to go up against, with the Tidehunter as well as the Earthshaker having those double blink initiations. But Smoke coming out from your family looking for a pick to start us off, and they also have a blink of their own looking for the Phantom Lancer in mid potentially. Do they know that's real? And I think they do. They stomp on him. They have detection, and they're just going to blow him up with the Skullcatcher. Or do they? They get the dust off and Lich ultimate. That's commitment for the kill, and it's worth it if you get the kill onto the enemy Phantom Lancer. So definitely think it's worth the ultimate commitment from the Lich, although that is quite a lot. going towards that kill. Drow Ranger does have her level 2 marksmanship sitting at level 13, almost 14, and now Maelstrom going towards her. I don't know, without the Blink Dagger, Drow Ranger is very easy to catch out, especially while she's split pushing these lanes, and I don't know, they go for the double Maelstrom, and for now this is going to be good at catching out those illusions, and, well, your family are looking pretty good. As far as their carries are concerned. You have the Phantom Lancer sitting at the top of the net worth, sure, but Faceless Void is sitting neck and neck with him as far as farm is concerned, and he's going to have a completed Mjolnir, presumably, pretty soon. And Drow Ranger not looking too shabby, especially when you can compare it to the Viper. Although Viper's tanky with the Aghanim Scepter and Mechanism, he's just not going to be outputting the damage, and well, if your family are able to get the jump with the Centaur and get a decent Chronosphere at the very least, they should be good. And PK Chronosphere's one up top onto Triple C, Triple A with the Soul Catcher on top and a couple more bashes. Shadow Demon actually gets the last hit there. Phantom Lancer TPS in, drops the Spirit Lance on a creep with that extra Fountain Mana regen. But in the end, just liberally using that Faceless Void ult to make sure that they're able to get consistent kills. And I definitely like this choice better than saving it forever and then not using it. But at the same time, it is going to give EULS a little bit more room to farm up on this Phantom Lancer. But I don't think that EULS especially are going to be going for 5-man Dota for very soon. Even with their huge teamfight ultimates, they just want to make sure that this Phantom Lancer gets his Diffusal Blade as well as one item on top of that at the very least. They are going to push out top lane, so I stand corrected as they do have the Tidehunter ultimate as well as the Earthshaker one. So just taking advantage of the Chronosphere being offline. Yeah, I guess that definitely makes sense. So my bad for speaking out of time. As the tier 2 towers should fall and, well, across the map. Faceless Void's pushing up bottom, but there's no tier 2 for him to take. So this should just be a straight up tower push from European Love Story. Faceless Void actually opts for the Aghanim Scepter to make sure he has the ultimate more frequently at level 11. It is a worthy pickup. But he would hit level 16 fairly soon, and I think another item pickup at this point in the game might have been a little bit better for Krennic. If he wants the extra survivability, maybe go for a Butterfly or even a Heart. Yeah. Well, the courier flying over with the completed Aghanim Scepter spied out by the Tidehunter. I believe they know that the Ags is online for him because of that movement coming out. Yeah, so we're going to have a Chronosphere going on to Triple C, Triple A near the river. They'll be able to catch him out. Scar's Mage Ultimate doing a huge amount of damage to the Faceless Void, and the Arcane Bolt Concussive Shot. It's not going to catch out both on the Faceless Void and with the Mechanism. He's more than okay. But yeah, a lot of hate going the way of that Tidehunter, making sure that Ultimate doesn't come up online very quick. And well, with the Faceless Void Chronosphere Aghanim Scepter upgrade, you will have that at about the same time that Tidehunter is online. So we'll probably have that for the next 5-man clash, I'd expect. So yeah, Tidehunter just not having the greatest time after picking up that Blink Dagger. In fact, it's 0, 7, and 1. The poorest KDA in this game just hasn't been able to do very much of anything. Yeah, in lane, he was doing okay. But yeah, after that, it just kind of went all downhill from there. Yeah, he picks himself up at drums. I'm not a huge fan of this item choice coming up from the Tidehunter. Gives him some nice stats to make sure he's able to get off the Ravage and whatnot, as well as some additional spells on top of that. But they already have one on the Phantom Lancer, but eventually the Phantom Lancer will probably sell that. Speaking of the Phantom Lancer, he's currently inside the Roshan pit. Not the fastest Roshan. They actually don't pop the Lincolns on the Roshan before going for the Gush for the minus armor. But then again, Phantom Lancer going to secure himself an Aegis, and even though his Legions can't hit away at Roshan, with the Vladimir Scepter, they have, or offering, they will have plenty of sustain to go through that. Not an expected move coming out from them, so your family are not going to be in the pit. Mjolnir completed by one of the cores as Drow Ranger picks that up for himself, and the damage coming out from Drow with Mjolnir is incredible as you have that extra attack speed. Seeing it at about 3 attacks per second as Centaur Ultimate is deployed. Not sure exactly what for. Potentially down in bottom as they want to go for this Phantom Lancer. You get to slow on him, but they don't have detection. Now with the illusions hitting away at the Drow Ranger, she tries to clear them up with the Mjolnir, and eventually she will be able to do so, but they just start spawning. Yeah. It'll be all fine at the end of the day. Yeah, not sure what that Centaur Ultimate was all about. Trying to find somewhere in the map where that was really necessary for them to do so. Potentially just a defensive one for Vlado, now that I think about it. But I think saving onto that might be worth it. I don't know. 40 seconds without that available for your family is going to be the cost of that. Well, yeah, I'm still kind of waiting to see what this Phantom Lancer and Drill Ranger picks are really going to be doing for these teams respectively. But the split push coming out from the Phantom Lancer is nice. He's able to spawn his illusions and just keep these lanes pressured out. He's taking a lot of space away from the rest of his team, and I doubt that Viper's really going to be able to pick up that much cohesion after this Assault Cuirass, presumably, with the Hyperstone being picked up by him. But it looks like EULS want to make an aggressive move. They won't have the Phantom Lancer for this, as his boots travel are still on cooldown for about 35 seconds. When they want to make a move, but maybe they'll be able to catch at the Faceless Void and potentially the Drill Ranger as well. So, down in bottom they go. All behind the Tide Hunter, potentially just baiting him out. It might be fairly obvious, but it looks like both teams are going to respond in kind, as Phantom Lancer is the only one not there. Still 20 seconds, but the Chronosphere catches out too. There's no follow-up, however. Tide Hunter jumps in. He's completely, or already used Ravage, being focused down by the Drill Ranger. She'll be able to get that, but the Echo Slam committed. Defensive Disruption, very nice. Will dodge the Fizzer coming out, but it's not going to be enough to save the Drill Ranger. So far, it's going to be a Ravage and a Tide for the Drill Ranger as the trade, and that's going to be the damage of the team fight. Faceless Void TPs out to safety. Yeah, unfortunate that I missed that Ravage coming out on bottom lane. Phantom Lancer TPs towards mid and just going to give no hoots about the rest of his team as he continues pushing out himself. He's going to run very low on inventory spaces after going for the Vlads as well as the drums. I presume he picks up the Mantis style next and is sending that to himself on the Courier. Yeah, no big surprises there. But he's going to start being a lot more of a split push threat with that Mantis style available. Yeah. Well, as far as the items are concerned on both teams, the next big pickups we have a Blade Mail on Vlado, which is going to be annoying for the Scarlet Mage in particular to deal with if he just kind of wallows in that Scarlet Mage ulti. It's going to do a lot of damage in return, but we are going to have yet another smoke, so not really giving me much time to talk about that at all, as they're looking for blood. They have the Chronosphere available, and actually Scarlet Mage backs off for a Bloodstone, disassembling his Arcane Boots in order to do so. These next couple of fights are going to be pivotal for Ball. If he's able to get a couple of kills and not die, this is going to be a great pickup to make sure he has mana sustain. But other than that, it's going to be a very peculiar one, especially for your support Skywrath Mage to go for at this point in the game. I think the utility of a Force Staff would have been a little bit better as they go on bottom and they drop the Chronosphere for nothing. He's completely out of their Phantom Lancer. That's what you do. I mean, he's playing it well. Even if they got that kill, it would have just been an Aegis, and I think it would have been able to back off afterwards. I don't think they had more than one dust, so it still would have been on cooldown after popping it. But yeah, that's a fatal mistake coming out from your family. And well, Phantom Lancer is going for Kranich. Time walk away, however, this is a very aggressive move that's going to be punished. The Lich ultimate, when committed, they've used a lot of their spells. EULS does not have the Doppelwalk for another couple of seconds. He's dusted up anyway, so not going to be able to use that. He Doppelwalks in the end after the dust subsides, and still has the Aegis on his person. Yeah, very interesting turn of events, but baits out the Lich Chain Frost, so hashtag worth for the Phantom Lancer, especially since his team is fighting in mid. They're looking for this Viper. They stun up with the hoof stomp, looking for the stomp. Here comes the Ravage from the Tide Hunter. It's going to do some decent work, but in the end, the Drone Ranger's just doing too much damage to Triple C, Triple A. They don't get the last auto attack, and now they slow down the Faceless Void. Viper is going to lose his life for that one, however, in a double kill for Body and Dweller, or rather, Sun One. Yeah, Phantom Lancer continues the split pushing game, but Blink Dagger finally picked up by the Drone Ranger, so her split push is going to be that much stronger. I think Boots of Travel is going to be very important for the Drone Ranger or the Faceless Void to pick off, so that they'll be able to return in kind to the Phantom Lancer. They drop a Chronosphere onto the Earthshaker, pick up yet another kill over by the river. Not a whole lot to cast there, as a Chronosphere on a single support is pretty much meaning a dead support, especially since he's without any sort of backup in that position. But with 40 seconds still the next Chronosphere, they still have plenty of time to deal with, so definitely worth the extra kill. And putting that Aghanim Scepter to good use, I was a little bit shaky on the item pickup, but after picking up that many kills with it, it's definitely worth it for him. He'll be picking up a Mjolnir of his own sooner rather than later, as he will upgrade that Maelstrom. More damage in the Chronosphere with that extra attack speed, and well, this Faceless Void's going to start getting pretty scary. I think it's pretty much the Phantom Lancer's game, though. He needs to keep on split pushing. If he gets caught out without an Aegis or without buyback, it's going to be pretty much game over for his team. But as long as he's able to push this out, we should be seeing this game stretched out for quite some time more. As it starts getting into the early late game, I think EULS is going to be just fine in the pushing department, but as he gets 6-slotted, he's going to be dealing with Faceless Void as well as Drone Ranger to catch him out, and I think they know that this is the real one. Bash onto the Illusion as they purge up EULS. They drop the Chronosphere, they detect him, but do they have the damage to get down EULS? It looks like they will. They get a couple of good bashes, and with the Soul Catcher on top, that's your death on the Phantom Lancer. And the Aegis, I believe, just expired. Just a terrible time for the Phantom Lancer to get caught out, and in the end, that's 60 seconds without a Phantom Lancer. A huge pickup for your family. Pretty much that's EULS team. They've committed everything in order to get this Phantom Lancer huge. Sure, they have a Viper that can throw out Viper Strikes and be annoying. He'll offer the Salt Cuirass aura to his team, which is wonderful and all. But yeah, as this game drags later and later, Faceless Void and Ranger are just going to be able to dominate. Jump in by the Orc Striker, gets the Echo Slam only onto Kranich, however. He gets a nice Fissure onto the Ranger. She tries to push back them, but the Sky Mage ulti is going to be good onto her. They Delta Split, they get 4 bounces on the Lich ultimate, but that's going to be all she wrote for that one. Yeah, Ranger, if she gets cut out, she's as good as dead. Nothing really happening there, which is why I don't mind the Mask of Madness pickup, because I think even with a BKB, instead of that Mask of Madness, she'd still die. Just such a squishy hero if you get caught in a situation like that. Which is really where her weakness resides. As long as she has people initiating, well, granted, she has the Faceless Void Chronosphere. Is he going to go for it? They jump with the Hoof Stomp double edge onto Zella, but the return from the Ravage. They don't have the X Slam to commit to this, but they're locking them in place for a decent amount of time. Kranich is falling low with the Arcane Bolts and the extra magic damage. It will be enough. Lado should die in kind, even with the Sky Mage ulti committed and failing. They jump in onto Kira, and Kira is going to be focused down sooner rather than later. Defensive Disruption will come out. Silvos gets to kill his buyback from the Centaur. He's trying to get into this fight, but I don't think you can really do anything in the way of counter push, and well, that's no buyback on the side of your family. Yeah, that's tier 3 Rax. I did not expect that turn of events happening. I thought that was going to remain a passive game, but in the end, I think that your family are one step closer to losing this game 1 of the best of 2 series, as EULS and company take the barracks. Yeah, what? How? I have no idea, just getting caught out in a very awkward situation. It's not over by any means just yet. But it's definitely not pretty, as that's a tier 2 as well as one complete lane down in favor of European Love Story. And this is where Phantom Lancer has an absolute field day. EULS can bounce around the map, all he has is 2 lanes to worry about, and there's no way that these lanes are really going to push out anywhere coming up for your family. Even with the double Maelstrom Mjolnir, they're going to have to commit the Draw Ranger as well as Faceless Void alone to each one of these lanes, and in the end, yeah, it's just not looking pretty. It's not looking pretty by any means. Very peculiar. I didn't think that that fight would go so terribly wrong for your family. I'm a little bit lost for words, but in the end, European Love Story, just better execution. They brought in EULS fairly late in that fight, but once he came, he did plenty of damage in order to warrant the TP. And I think if they had him earlier, that fight could have been a little bit more in their favor. But we're seeing the power of the late game Phantom Lancer. He's pretty much hit that. Now with the Assault Cuirass on the Viper, he's going to start hitting incredibly hard with that extra minus armor to work with. And level 18 on the Phantom Lancer, his agility is actually through the roof. 200 base damage thereabouts, 198 to be precise. But yeah, I don't know. Family need to turtle it out to where they can stand with this Faceless Void and Draw Ranger. They definitely have the tools to do so with the Midas as well as the Mjolnir on both of them. But they're one step away from losing this game. And these Phantom Lancer illusions really aren't caring that much about the Mjolnir. Or won't after the next item pickup, which I presume is going to be... Actually, no, they're going to continue carrying. I was kind of hoping the Heart would come out from the Phantom Lancer, but he'll go instead for the Butterfly. Yeah, but also get himself a cool Aegis. I think what you do is, at this point, you give one of your items, or the drums or the Vlads, to the Courier. Potentially the drums. I don't know, Draw Ranger gets herself a tower up in top. No big surprises there, as that is a tier 1, but they're going to give it away for Roshan at this point in the game. That's absolutely huge. I believe that is the second Roshan of this game. I don't think there's a cheese available on anybody. And yep, that is going to be the case, as down in bottom, Kranich forced to time walk away. I don't think they'll be able to catch out Kranich, but this tier 2 tower is as good as dead. I don't think there's really anything that they can do to punish this. EULS actually does go ahead and sell his drums to make sure he has enough money for the Butterfly, and while Phantom Lancer is completely online. We also have an Aghanim Scepter Lich ultimate. Under most situations, Aghanim Scepter not the most cost-effective item for the Lich, but up against a Phantom Lancer with its illusions, you can throw that out very liberally. They're fighting up against backdoor protection, not doing the best job as of now, but now that they have the creeps, tier 2 tower is going to die. And what a pause as we have the Faceless Void having a little bit of a break. No idea why they're pausing. Your guess is as good as mine. Nothing in all chat just yet. So good to go comes out from your family, and we get back into this game. Potentially a misclick.
All right, carry on.
No, EULS need a little bit of a break. Well, especially when solo casting, it's kind of hard to deal with these breaks, but it will give me some time to go check out how the chat is looking. Unfortunately, since I am solo casting, I really can't have my attention to the chat, and yeah, I don't know, it's not looking great. Let's see. Yeah, just kind of glancing over it. Looks like we're just going to be chilling for now. But yeah, there's very little to talk about in this game. Tier 2 tower is going to fall, and I think that EULS have the tools to go high ground. They have the Tidehunter Ravage, they have the Earthshaker Ultimate, they have the AC on the Viper, as well as almost a completed Aghanim Scepter on the Skywrath Mage. In the last couple of fights, he didn't die and now has 13 Bloodstone charges, so we're going to see at least one of those level 16 ultimates coming out from the Skywrath Mage. For now, they're just going to send the Army of Illusions back as they wait for the Butterfly on the Phantom Lancer. They will do some chip, but it will force out the Glyph at the very least, so for another 5 minutes or so, they won't have that available. Now the high ground push becomes that much easier. Yeah, EULS, he's spotted out by a ward on the high ground. They should know that this is the real one. Or at least guess it at the very least. I don't know, will they jump on him? Centaur catches eyes on EULS. He is invised up for now. And, well, EULS not looking too great in the mana department, but does have the Aegis, so even if he dies, he'll be able to come back. And the high ground push is going to proceed mid from European Love Story. The tier 3 tower going to be the next target. Drone with Mask Madness, they jump in. Vlado, they're looking for it. The Tidehunter Ultimate as well as the Skywrath Mage Ultimate are going to come out. Buyback to the face of this void. Didn't get up the Chronosphere, so definitely a good buyback. He loses Centaur as well, and Draw Ranger's doing decent damage to the Tidehunter, but now being chased down by the Phantom Lancer. He's going to die, and the Chronosphere only going to catch with the Tidehunter. He's not able to focus down anybody. The Skywrath Mage is also there, blink away by the Earthshaker. Is going to be able to get the kill onto the Faceless Void with that beautiful crit coming out from the Enchant Totem. Aegis is lost by the Phantom Lancer after the buyback from the Draw Ranger, but this is pretty much it. They need to kill EULS immediately. Skywrath Mage Ultimate on the Mask of Madness. Draw, there's nothing she can do. Fissure is going to land, blinking from the Earthshaker, misses on the Enchant Totem. Now he's going to be turned around by the Draw Ranger. Lich gets the last hit, and well, this fight is very hectic, and Draw Ranger is going to force the base. No way that she can show her face really anywhere soon. She just gets a little bit of extra health, and for now, it's going to be a defense of the high ground, but a lot of buybacks expend on both of their carries, on the Draw Ranger as well as on the Faceless Void. But bottom tier 3 tower also going to take some harass as they jump in onto the Draw. Will they be able to slow down Skywrath Mage Ultimate? That's going to be a dominating streak for Ball, and 92 seconds without the Draw Ranger, and 53 without a true carry coming out from the side of your family. Now EULS is going to have a field day. He starts focusing on a cure, just send some illusions for Triple C, Triple A. They get a defensive disruption, but the tier 3 tower is already dead. And now with creeps pushing in through the top, there's nothing they can do without those Mjolnirs on their 2 carries. Melee Barracks going to be next to follow suit in bottom, and the range barracks soon after. They can go for mega creeps, or they can just go for game. I think for all intents and purposes, this is GG going towards European Love Story as the Cancer Lancer is paid off for them. I don't know. We very rarely get to see this from the Skywrath Mage, but he picks up the Aghanim Scepter after the Bloodstone, so he'll have mana to spend that out, and with an Earthshaker Ethereal Blade, nonetheless, this is going to hurt. If they catch out the Faceless Void or the Draw Ranger anywhere, they're dead. So for now, they're not going to fully commit to this next set of racks. They're just going to plink away at the tier 3 towers, but slow and steady game coming out for EULS is not looking good. Krennic is going to respawn, and they will be able to clear out these illusions fairly quickly with the Mjolnir charge on himself, as well as hitting very quickly. Regeneration Rune is there, and well, your family are not going to tap out just yet, but this game got a whole lot harder. They need to win, I believe, 2 team fights. They need to win one when EULS are pushing into the base, and then one more inside or closer to EULS base, so they'll be able to take out those tier 2s as well as a range of barracks and make this a little bit even, and potentially even a third Ethereal Blade Phantom Lancer. You heard it here first. That is going to be a Phantom Lancer Ethereal Blade. Gives him great stats, and with the double Skywrath Mage ulti it's going to do so much damage, and even just the Ethereal Blade from the Phantom Lancer itself is going to do a lot. They get a Chronosphere on a Triple Z Triple A. This is a good way to start the fight with the Ethereal Blade to save him. Now they're going to stun up Kranich. Where's the follow-up? However, they're going to gush him. He drops the ultimate. Tide Hunter ultimate lands onto 2 Fendrils. Also going to die Scar with Mage ulti number 1. He has another one to throw, but not going to need his units. Gets a killing spree. Actually, Faceless Void is going to survive within inches of his life, as he is just barely surviving. And now Joe Ranger's focusing down on the Tide Hunter. And how did the Faceless Void live there? I have no idea, but they're looking for more as the Joe Ranger is forced to run away. She's very fast and should be able to make it out. We're looking for a blink. Gush potentially coming up from the Tide Hunter. Will he be able to catch it out? No, Joe Ranger's back safely inside her base. Wow, Faceless Void living by the skin of his teeth there. I thought for sure he was dead, but backtrack is Lord. But GG comes out as Tier 3 tower and mid-racks are going to fall. Yeah, that was pretty much a last-ditch effort from your family. They drop a Lich ultimate, and here comes the last team fight as 200 just obliterated by the double Scarred Mage ulti as well as the Faceless Void. Well, we got to see that combo, if only at the very end. Either way, that's going to be Game 1 done. Game 2 coming up shortly. I'm Grandis, your caster here on HeflaTV 2. Unfortunately, I don't have a co-caster with me, but this is life, I suppose, when you have several people out for vacation and computer issues, as well as just everybody else being asleep from the late night casts. Well, thank you for watching. You can follow us on these channels, or on this channel here at HeflaTV 2 for your English coverage, as well as HeflaTV 1 for more English games. You can find us on our social media websites. You can find that below the stream, as well as Moobot, excuse me, should be spamming that in the chat as well. As we hear a couple more Lich Chain Frost to end out the stream, some music, some ads, and then game 2.